Francisco Garcia, the Black Latin Prince, president and founder of the original Historical Music Society of Detroit. And today we're presenting a very special program to you. We're featuring some of Detroit's premier musicians. I think everybody throughout the world knows about the Funk Brothers and Motown Records. But what people don't know is that every musician in the city of Detroit has contributed to the music scene and therefore is entitled to bear the name Funk Brother if they should so choose to do so. We have decided to present the entire history, or much as we can, concerning all the other musicians that weren't mentioned in the documentary or acknowledged by Motown Records. These musicians have recorded for every label in Detroit: Invictus Records, Capitol Records, Arista Records. The list goes on and on. And we are here to bring to you the Detroit Historic Musicians Association. And these musicians are going to tell you in their own words their experiences and those things that they have done to help perpetuate the sound of Detroit music that continues to be perpetuated through the whole world. And sitting next to me, to my immediate right, is Mr. Charlie Herndon. Charlie represents the Nightlighters, and he also represents D-Town Records and the late Mr. Mike Hanks. He also represents some independent productions and many things that he's done that he's going to be telling you about. Seated next to him is Mr. William Billy Hatcher, who represents the Fun Company. Those of you who remember the Fun Company know that the Fun Company was originally created to be Betty LaVette's backup band, but somewhere along the way, they outshone Betty LaVette. And thanks to the meticulous artwork and musicianship of people in the group like Dr. Funk, they have rose to legendary status over in Europe. So Billy's going to be telling you a little bit about that. Seated next to him is the legendary McKinley Jackson. McKinley Jackson was originally leader of a group called the Politicians that did a lot of sessions here in Detroit. McKinley played trombone back in the 60s. He went from playing trombone to being one of the greatest prolific arrangers that the music scene has ever seen. McKinley is currently doing some things now, and he's going to tell you about his history with Invictus Records, and he's going to talk a little bit about Hot Wax and the whole Holland Dozier Holland project. Seated next to McKinley is Mr. Larry Tunstall. Larry Tunstall was very instrumental in a lot of different groups being formed. We go back as far as elementary school, where Larry was singing with a number of different people. And Larry is going to tell you about his experiences that had led him along the road to allow him to develop his musicianship. Sitting next to Larry, we have Dr. Kurt Stevens. Now, Dr. Kurt Stevens here is not only one of the original members from our high school days who played the guitar, but Dr. Kurt Stevens was also one of the original cameramen on our very first program that we shot in 1992, the very first original Historical Music Society showcase. And Kurt's going to be telling you a little bit about his experiences. Seated next to him is Brother SHONDUE AKIM. SHONDUE AKIM is regarded as one of the world's greatest percussionists. And I don't say that lightly, because no matter where you go, when you mention the name SHONDUE AKIM, people will break out the red, black, and green flag, and they will wave it at you to let you know exactly how they feel about what this man has done all his life. Seated next to SHONDUE is another partner of mine that goes back to the second grade by the name of Thomas POSTELL. Thomas POSTELL was one of the original founders of a group in high school when we went together called the Minstrels that signed with Thelma Records. He's going to tell you about that. He's going to tell you about some of the things that he did later on with Mike Hanks and D-Town, and some of the things that he's doing now. Seated next to Thomas POSTELL is his partner in crime, Thomas Burgess, who was also one of the original members of the Minstrels. Thomas Burgess is an extremely prolific writer who has written several tunes that he never got credit for that were put out by other artists in the 60s. And of course, you know, the original Historical Music Society was created to try to ensure that the writers and the artists get the royalties that they never received along with the historical recognition. So Thomas is going to tell you about his experiences. And seated next to him is MacArthur Brown. Arthur goes back, many years, and he's a drummer, he's a keyboardist, he's a vocalist, and he's also a writer. And he's going to tell you a little bit about what he's been doing lately. And right next to him on the end we have my brother A.J. Anthony Sparks. Anthony and I go back to Magic City Records when we used to rehearse back in the 60s when we were teenagers. What we didn't know was while we were rehearsing, they were recording us and actually used us on sessions. Of course, we didn't find this out till years later when there was no Magic City and no royalties to cover anything that we did. But we had several interesting experiences and we want to tell you about them. So stay with us and we'll be right back after this very important message.